news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Dan Schwartzman. Boxing legend George Foreman has passed away at the age of 76. The two-time heavyweight champion also is a successful entrepreneur who sold over $100 million to the George Foreman Lean Mean grilling machines.
Had a busy day? My Lean Mean fat-reducing grilling machine is great to come home to. It lets you prepare hot, delicious meals in just minutes. I'm so proud of it, I put my name on it.
At 19, Foreman won a gold medal at the 1968 Olympic Games in Mexico City before winning his first heavyweight crown in 1973 over Joe Frazier. At the age of 45, Foreman became the oldest heavyweight champion by defeating Michael Moore. Foreman reportedly made over $200 million appearing in infomercials for the Foreman grilling machine. Pope Francis intends to greet the public and impart his blessings at Rome's Gemelli Hospital shortly after noon on Sunday. This would mark the first time the pontiff has emerged in public since being hospitalized more than a month ago due to pneumonia. Francis was hospitalized back on February 14th after what doctors termed an increasingly complex health issue. With trade tensions high between the world's two biggest economies, U.S. Senator Steve Daines from Montana met with Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng in Beijing to discuss important issues between the two countries. Daines reiterated President Trump's call for China to stop the flow of fentanyl ingredients. Daines is also scheduled to hold talks with Premier Li Qiang on Sunday. The meetings take place before an April 1st deadline for the U.S. to review Beijing's compliance with a so-called Phase 1 trade deal struck during Trump's first term. The president plans to impose sweeping reciprocal duties on trading partners around the world on April 2nd. The senator says he hopes further high-level talks between the two sides will be taking place in the near future. Around 500 staffers at the Securities and Exchange Commission have agreed to leave the agency for a $50,000 buyout and deferred resignation offers. The Office of the General Counsel, as well as the divisions of enforcement and exams, are expected to see the most departures. The total represents about 10% of the total number of employees at the SEC. London's Heathrow Airport is open and fully operational after a day-long blackout that canceled or diverted over 1,300 flights. Utility provider National Grid UK says power has been restored to all those affected by the outage at the North Heights substation. The financial fallout of the closure of one of the world's busiest airports is estimated to be between $80 million and $100 million. The airport added flights to the schedule today to facilitate an additional 10,000 or so passengers traveling through the airport. UK Transportation Secretary Heidi Alexanders doesn't believe the outage was due to terrorism.
There are no suggestions at the moment of foul play, but you will appreciate the investigation keeps an open mind, and our priority is identifying the cause as soon as possible.
That's UK Transportation Secretary Heidi Alexanders. The Trump administration will revoke temporary legal status from over 530,000 migrants who entered the U.S. legally under a Biden-era program. The migrants will be required to leave or face deportation starting in late April. Nationals from Cuba, Nicaragua, Haiti, and Venezuela were originally allowed to fly directly to the U.S. after applying for humanitarian parole and accompanying work permits. The administration had already declined to extend temporary protected status for both Venezuelans and Haitians. Social network X plans to buy back the remaining piece of debt linked to the buyout of the platform back in 2022. The repurchase of around $1.2 billion of second lien debt could be financed in part by a recent equity raise by X. Wall Street banks led by Morgan Stanley have been stuck for years holding portions of the original loan used to back the finance of the buyout of X. President Trump has revoked security clearances for former President Biden as well as key members of his administration, citing it is no longer in the national interest for them to continue to have access to classified information. Others losing clearance include Kamala Harris, Antony Blinken, and Hillary Clinton. Biden had blocked Trump from receiving intelligence briefings back in 2021, despite ex-presidents usually retaining access to classified information. Canada's new Prime Minister Mark Carney has announced measures to mitigate the economic impact of U.S. tariffs, including temporary deferrals of corporate income tax and consumption tax remittances. The move would apply April 2nd to June 30th. Carney also plans to increase the country's economy by $250 billion Canadian dollars by accelerating the movement of goods, services, and workers between the country's 13 provinces and territories. That's news when you want it with Bloomberg News Now. I'm Dan Schwartzman, and this is Bloomberg.